Hey everybody, Alex here for Nerdy Inc. coming at you with another episode of Our Favorite Frontier, the only Star Trek podcast on the internet that is hosted by me and Nick. Hey Nick.
Hey Alex, how are we doing?
We're doing interestingly.
We're doing interesting. Okay.
It's been a long day, so
I feel like
I'm
it's been
I'm
a long
excited
day.
to talk about some Star Trek.
I'm excited to talk about some Star Trek. I
I'm
really
very
am.
interested. I'm very interested what you have to say because I'm trying to figure out if you're full of shit or not.
Well, I will tell you, I just had Indian food, so the answer is probably I am full of shit.
Well, I'm just going to move on then. I'm excited because we're about to discuss the episode, The Royale.
Captain's log, stardate 42625.4. We're entering orbit around the 8th planet in this previously unmapped Theta 116 solar system. We diverted from our scheduled course when a passing Klingon cruiser reported discovering pieces of a strange vessel in the upper atmosphere of this planet. We have come to investigate.
Nick, what did you think of The Royale?
I really liked it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Before we talk about why is that, what happened this episode?
Okay, so the Enterprise is coming in on a planet. They realize there's some strange. Wait, before that happens, a Klingon vessel lets the Enterprise know that they ran into some debris, and they discover it is part of a NASA ship, and they're like, "How the hell did that get all the way out here?" Which even by the end of this episode, I don't really understand how it got away out there, but it did, and you can tell it's old timey because it has an American flag with 50 stars on it, and that's important because later they contradict themselves.
He said 52 stars.
This one has 50. The first one you find from the NASA ship when they bring it onto the Enterprise, that flag has 50 stars on it.
Did you count them?
I did.
Oh.
And then they talk about 52 stars later, but we'll get to that. So they're like, oh shit, like we found this debris. We should go on this planet, but there's literally no life forms, and the like all the different gases on the planet make it pretty much uninhabitable. But there's this one section with a large structure, so they go to this vast void that has a revolving door, and this is Riker, Worf, and Data. And they go through the revolving door and they walk into a casino, which they later find out is called the Royale, hence the name of the episode. And for some reason, the Royale is, I guess, run by some sort of mob boss named Mickey D, which doesn't help with me thinking of the Royale with cheese from Pulp Fiction, and
There
it's
it
run
is.
by Mickey D,
That's true.
which I found it to be, I found that to be a little too funny.
A good
They got-
accidental connection.
Yeah, they gotta be fucking kidding with that. So they're walking through, and they realize there's no signs of life within this, but there's definitely people they can interact with. So they find it to be a very peculiar thing. For a while, they lose contact with the ship. Picard's getting nervous about it, and I will say Deanna Troi actually uses her abilities pretty well to assure the captain that she can sense Riker and let her know that he's not being disobedient, that he's actually kind of confused and trying to figure this all out, which I actually thought was a good assessment instead of her just conveying what we already know that we could clearly see and that anyone could read that room.
Yeah,
She's
good.
actually being able to sense where Riker is coming from because Picard can't actually see how he's reacting.
Yes.
So I was like, good for her. Good for her for actually using her abilities, even though they're pretty much pointless still. You know, they play some casino games because the guy at the desk gave him some chips, and you know how much I love gambling and stuff with cards. So it was nice to see Data, trying a new game of blackjack. And there are some interesting, quirky characters that seem so fictitious. It's like, what's up with these people? They go to a room because they realize there's life signals coming from a room, and they find a deceased carcass from a man who has been dead for over 200 years. And they find out that he was in the spaceship that they found the debris from, and his jacket, his NASA jacket was there, and it had 52 stars on the flag, which represented that it had to be between a certain timeline. I believe it was 2033 to 2070 something.
Yep.
Which means we're going to get 2 states in the next 20 years, so that's fun.
Not completely unreasonable.
Not unreasonable. We have Puerto Rico.
Consider Puerto Rico being one of them, and we do have some other territories. Guam could become
Puerto
states.
Rico and North Korea.
Yeah,
the 2 new states, because they're opening up a burger restaurant, and that's supposed to solve the whole thing.
Oh, that's
Anyway, they find this book also that's called the Royale, and they realize that they're in pretty much a reality that is based off of the book. And they find out something where you're going to have to explain this better to me. They were attacked by aliens, and the aliens made a fake world for this guy to live in for some reason. Is that what they did? That made no sense to me.
They left it a little vague, because I don't think they had a good answer for the hard rules of it. But what it was implied was that the aliens discovered the NASA ship and said, "Ooh, let's bring the humans here and discuss them." But bringing them there was such a hard shock to the people that it made them, I think they said they killed one of the NASA agents in doing it and not realizing that it would really injure or sort of they were unprepared for how limited the human body is. And so they said, "Oh, we really can't interact with this person. All right, let's just build a little world for him so he can be happy there." And they built it based off of the book because that was all they had to go on.
So, yeah, they realized that they're based on the book. I think it's Picard. I'm trying to remember. I mean, I only watched this like 3 hours ago, so I don't know why I don't remember. But they realize that the events in the book are taking place, and they should just kind of let them go through and let the story run. But then they realize that they're actually part of the story. And then there are these foreign investors who buy the casino. So they figure out in order to escape, because as I forgot to mention, they can't leave. That's a big part of the story. They can't leave. So they're like, maybe we'll leave if we finish the story. So Data goes on a hot streak, playing some craps, and Riker is breaking casino rules by talking to Picard on the phone at the table, which you can't do. I've been kicked out of plenty of casinos for doing that. So fuck you, Star Trek.
Why is that against the rules? Is that really a rule?
Yeah, you can't be on your phone at the table.
I don't go to casinos, so I don't know.
You're right. I've never been to the casino with you unless it was for a concert, but
Yep.
Yeah, because they could see that as you cheating. You're talking to someone who possibly has access to like a camera or standing at a different location, able to see part of the action that you shouldn't be able to be seeing from your vantage point. They really want nothing to do with that, and they will tell you to leave, and they will forcibly remove you if they have to.
I believe it.
Yep. Don't drink. That's the moral of the story there. Anyway, they end up winning and buying the casino, and then they go home. Yep.
I will say the thing that I liked the most about this episode, and perhaps you will agree with me, I thought this episode had some of the most successful attempts at humor we've seen in the show.
Okay.
I always love it when Data talks to colorful characters. So when the guy goes, "I gotta get down to some business," and then Data just goes, "What sort of business do you think he's going to get down to?" Always, I got a little smile at that. I
like when he was explaining the rules to Blackjack. And then I like when he thinks he knows everything about it because he knows the rules, but he doesn't know the real philosophy behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So I always find that entertaining when he was talking about like the poker episode only a few episodes before, and now he's playing 21 or blackjack, however you call it, and he just thinks he knows it, and then he doesn't understand like taking risk and odds or even the concept of counting cards. So they'll be like talking as they would talk to any other person in their world, but he just cannot respond like a regular person because he's not.
But then he also later in the episodes gives some more. He's like, "Oh, here's a colloquialism that people say before they gamble," and then he looks at Rick and goes, "Baby needs a new pair of shoes." Just little touches like that.
I love him.
Yeah, it's great.
I used to not like him, but I love him.
And I got to say, also the best joke though came to me was with Picard actually, which was when they say, "Oh, the Royale is a book. Let me look up the book." And he goes, "It was a dark and stormy night."
Because they did say it has every cliche in it.
Yeah, and just like that that's like my exact like kind of joke. It's like right there, just it was a dark and stormy night, and then just like this prolonged it just tickled me in the perfect way. I audibly laughed on the subway. That was a good little joke. The thing that made this joke work was just how Picard he knows right off the bat,
defeated.
like, it's gonna be one of those books, yeah.
Absolutely defeated. But now I really want to talk about why I like this episode, and I actually don't know. Did you like this episode?
This episode was fine. I didn't.
And why were you perplexed when I said I liked it?
I was not perplexed. I'm pleased that you like it because it shows you're not a hypocrite. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But first, discuss why you like it, because you might say what I'm thinking right now anyway.
This episode has a great feel to the original show.
Okay.
As I've said before, when I think of Star Trek, I think of Twilight Zone in space. It's kind of like the crew goes through some extremely strange paranormal thing and they have to resolve it. And this is a perfect example of them finally being able to give me something that I long for as, a fan of that series, and finally being able to actually work with it well. And that's why I really liked it.
Okay. I'll agree that
it wasn't like a holodeck thing where I kind of get weirded out by it because I really don't care for the holodeck. It was like they were really on a planet that was like this, and not like they were in a stupid room that was computer generated to be a different world.
That's what it was. I was curious. I was watching this. I was like, all right, this is giving Nick exactly what he said he wants. Let's see if he likes it. And you did like it.
Exactly what I wanted, and I was very happy about it. And it had gambling in it. And I'm literally a sucker for it. I could watch Roseanne and Bill Cosby play cards, and I'd be like, this is actually good entertainment.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that was my big thing going in. I was like, all right, is Nick really going to actually enjoy this episode? Because it's arguably just the same thing as a holodeck episode, except they go to a planet instead of the computers just does it for them.
And which is why I like the other show. Because they go to a planet of Nazis and shit like that.
Yeah. I will say I agree. This one did have... How do I say this? It's the best version of an OG style episode that we've seen without being bad, because we've seen them try to rip off the original series a couple times before already, whether it's a sequel to Naked's Times or Now's, or sequels, remakes, whatever. This felt like an episode of the OG that wasn't trying too hard to capture that original sort of quote unquote magic. You know what I mean?
It felt natural. It didn't feel forced. It was delightful. I really liked it.
Yeah.
It's the past few episodes. I'm not dreading watching it.
Yeah. With my take on the episode, I didn't hate it at all. I thought it was fine. My issue more was I remembered the episode. I remembered parts of the episode, mainly the revolving door and then being stuck in the hotel and trying to leave. But I didn't remember the resolution. And so I was like extra trying to figure it out because I was like, I've definitely seen this before. how does it resolve? What's the ending? And that was just sort of frustrating me. Was like was like that sense of like weird deja vu, I guess. If that makes sense. Overall, I think there have been better episodes, and there will be better episodes of TNG than this, but I did find it enjoyable for what it was. There was a good little mystery, and all the characters I thought were good. Data tried to do his logic and also tried to blend in ways that were entertaining. Riker was down there trying to solve the problem as first officer. Picard was trying to solve the problem up there as first officer. Deanna Troi, like you mentioned, was doing things as an empath well. The whole crew was doing what they were supposed to. LaForge was trying to do numbers. Wesley was not talking mostly.
Yeah, what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. The only person who did something kind of dumb this episode, and I'm not sure if this was just a budgetary thing or what they were trying to do, but right when they tried to go through the revolving door and they realize they can't get out, they say, all right, let's try to find some other ways to get out. And Riker goes and tries to talk to the guy at the front desk. Data tries to go and find some doors. And then Worf just goes, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this slot machine and just try to push through the wall.
He just couldn't figure it out.
There's no door there. He's just like, this spot of the wall looks like I can push my way through.
Well, I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh, he found some sort of secret door. Like, there's going to be a secret compartment, and then, like, they're going to find some real cool shit. And then it's just him pushing on the wall, and nothing happens, and then he just uses a phaser and just shoots it, and nothing happens also. And I was like, really, what's the point of this scene?
That was the one thing I was like, Worf, what are you doing, man?
He has no idea what's up.
That was the only thing this episode that I thought was a little off. But other than that, I think everyone was well utilized. Everyone was behaving rationally and normally. Yeah, I have no ill feelings against this episode. It's more just like, it was fine. You'll see where the show goes in the future, that it's just not quite my tempo as opposed to other episodes when the show tends to go more towards the Measure of a Man style of storytelling,
which I would like as well.
Yes, it's believe me, it gets good. It may not be it may not be this, but it is good. But I don't think there was anything inherently wrong with this episode, at all.
Alex, I don't want to interrupt. I think we had a good talk, but I have to take a Wesley so badly.
That Indian food is finally catching up with you?
Oh, yeah, it definitely hit me.
All right, well, I'll do the sign up by myself. You go poop.
Well, all right, bye-bye.
See ya. Well, Nick is gone, so I'll try to give us a more sanctimonious ending than that. Yeah, basically, this episode is not broken in any way. It all makes sense. There's nothing... I don't think it shines as a particularly amazing episode, but overall, it was certainly acceptable. Everything made sense, and there was a nice little twist to it. The only interesting thing is, we mentioned a little bit of OG Star Trek. It does ring a little bit of the menagerie when you think about this NASA officer was sort of held here by these aliens who brought him. It's kind of hard to wrap our head around because they sort of blow through it at the end. But the aliens bring this NASA guy there, and they realize that I guess they've sort of trapped him in this place, and so they just try to give him a nice illusion to live out his days. That's sort of what happens at the end of the menagerie. Captain Christopher Pike is taken by Spock to the alien planet from the first episode, The Cage, the original pilot, and they are going to use their mental mind powers to allow him to imagine a nice place to end his days, since he's paralyzed and crippled and in a wheelchair thing. So a little bit of shades of the menagerie, but overall fine episode. Nick really liked it. I thought it was decent. So there you have it. Join us next week when we discuss the episode Time Squared. I don't recall what it's about, but it's about Star Trek for sure. So, that's it for this episode. If you've enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff is much appreciated, and we will see you next time. Our Favorite Frontier is hosted by Alex Russo and Nick Caladona, edited by Alex Russo and produced by Nerdy Inc. Be sure to follow us on YouTube to catch all of our videos, as well as like us on Facebook, Twitter, and whatever other social media we have.